Hi everyone, welcome to a very special episode of the Hidden London Hangouts. We've waited a very long time for something very, very special to happen in London, and it's about to happen, and we're part of it, and we're delighted. The Elizabeth line is about to change the capital for good in the most splendid way. And we want to take on a bit of a journey today and a bit of a thank you to the people who've been involved in it. I don't do this on my own. I've got three wonderful folk from the London Transport Museum to guide us through today and also to look back on the project itself. First of all, Chris Nix from the London Transport Museum. This has been a city-changing project that's about to come to fruition.
It is. It's certainly going to transform our Thursday and Friday nights out, isn't it? Being able to get home easier. But a special moment, this one, and reason to get the pin badge and the cushion out in celebration.
I love this. And I have to say, Siddy, you are looking absolutely wondrous. You're even dressed in the right colours.
Well, I was going through my wardrobe earlier and I was like, I must have something in purple. This is sort of a purpley blue, which is, I guess, sort of the closest I can get to the Elizabeth line colours. So I thought I'd dress up. And I've got all my merch here. I've got a badge.
Nice.
I've got the Elizabeth line Oyster card holder. Got a lanyard.
Oh, it's like proper top trumps, isn't it? It's like show and tell.
And I also got a tote bag. So I am so excited.
It's like crackerjack.
Great, isn't it? Who wants a hostess trolley and a cuddly toy? It's going to be great. Laura Hilton-Brown, you know that I'm a massive fan of maquette, and I'm delighted to see yours as well. My goodness, what a journey we've all been on, and what a journey we're about to enjoy.
I know, right? I can't top Trump's City, unfortunately. She had a lot of merch going on there. But I've had this little beauty on my set, if you can call it that, for quite some time, because I absolutely love it. If I'd have had time and I'd have realised, I might have got my nails done in some kind of purple or to replicate the stripes, but I didn't have time for that. But I think anything where the word transformational describes what we're going to talk about in the episode is just epic and amazing. So it's going to be a good one, right?
Oh yeah. And on today's programme, we are going to take the designers of the maquette on the first of their journeys under London on the Elizabeth line, for them to feast their eyes on what you guys are about to enjoy too. We take with us TfL's product design manager, Paul, on the train as well, to point out some of the details that we never even knew we didn't know. And we're going to talk to the Elizabeth line's chief executive, Mark Wilde, about the project, what's gone on and what's to come. So that's all going to happen in the episode. But before all of that, we decided to go through all of the notes and books and everything else that we've got and pick up a fact each about this line that we adore. And first of all, there's 41 stations on the Elizabeth line from me. 10 of them are new. What did you think, Chris? What's yours?
Well, mine is your local one, Woolwich, where it has some really beautiful pillars, which we'll see a little later. And for me, it's that the design on the pillars is supposed to represent the rifling in the barrel of a gun, because, of course, it's Woolwich Arsenal.
I absolutely love it. Yeah, you will get to see Woolwich in a minute. It's so cool. Sids, what have you got? What little Tatsache, as they say in German, have you got for me?
Well, the Elizabeth line's tunnels were all bored by tunnel boring machines, all of which got names of notable women. And one of the tunnel boring machines was called Ada, after Ada Lovelace, who was the world's first computer programmer. And she had the tunnel boring machine, not the woman, had the toughest job of all of the TBMs, as Ada had to carve one of the tunnels at Tottenham Court Road. And there she came the closest closest to another line than anywhere else on the entire project. So she was at one point 90 centimeters away from the Northern Line platforms and 60 centimeters away from the Northern Line escalators at Tottenham Court Road.
We told you
only about that.
This project is unbelievable. Laura, what did you pick up of all the things you've learned on this project?
Well, I mean, there's so many things, and all of your facts were amazing as well. I decided to go with the size of the team that managed to pull this project together. There were approximately 75,000 people that contributed to making it happen. I mean, that is just huge, right?
Absolutely. It has been something quite special. And as I say, the lovely thing about this is London is about to change. But as I say, we did decide on this day to take a very special journey. We had the line to ourselves, and we took two very special people who you both know to us, and also another gentleman who I think is going to figure in quite a lot of episodes in the future because he knows his onions. He also knows his trains. On a little trip from Paddington to Woolwich and back.
Yeah, we got our own private train as well, didn't we, Alex?
Yeah, but on the way there, I slummed it because I had to go via the tube and the DLR and everything else to see how long it took for me to go from Woolwich to Paddington by current means. And then we were going to test the timings going on back on the Elizabeth line. So this is what happened. It's a glorious morning here in Woolwich, and as you can see, I'm here at my local station. Look at that, there's even an Elizabeth line sign there, just to tell us that the line is on its way. It's 9:25. I've got to get to Paddington, so I'm going to see how long it takes on DLR and tube, and then compare it to how long it's going to take on the Elizabeth line. So wish me luck, the race begins. I'm not running. So I enjoyed my music all the way from Woolwich to Paddington, and it took me 55 minutes. But how long on the Elizabeth line to get to this beautiful, stunning station? Let's find out. Do you know, I love days like this because I get a new colour high-vis to wear, and we've got playmates as well today. Emma and Harriet, first time you've been in an Elizabeth line station below the ground. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Amazing. Fantastic. It's so amazing and modern and clean. And I love the Brunel, the link to Brunel, the water
glorious,
lilies. Fantastic.
And Paul, this is a big moment for you. Design, wonder, stunningness, and we're about to go on a train where you're going to tell us all the stuff we never knew we needed to know.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I was mainly involved in the train design and not necessarily the station, but the stations are dramatic and also kind of individual, so each station seems to have its own character within the network.
Chris, we've got a train designer on board today. How cool is that?
I know, it's almost like I got the memo and wore the right colour shirt to go with the hi-fi, isn't it?
It's perfect. We've got such a busy day because we're going to go down on a train, we're going to look around Woolwich Station as well, so come with us, this is going to be fun, all right?
It's going to be so
This is going to be fun. Yeah, we're going to get on this. Do you know, a quick thought, because that's our train, guys. What do you make of the platforms?
Wonderful. Feels very international. Reminds me of Paris, actually. The RER.
It's stunning. Absolutely nice purple roundels as well.
Nice
We'll
purple
talk more
roundels.
about
I
that
like
in
the
a minute.
lights.
Do you know, isn't that amazing? Do you notice our bags just arrived on the... This is like first class travel, isn't it?
It is.
Now, what we're going to do, we're going to time the journey down to Woolwich, because I travelled here on the normal services.
Yeah.
It took me 55 minutes. So it's 11:26.
Yep.
Let's see what time it is when we get there, and then we'll see how we go. Now, big moment really for you guys, because look at the fabric. This is your baby.
It
Take
is.
that, Harriet.
Surely.
It's lovely. It's absolutely lovely. I love the fact that Scott, who's in charge of all things fabulous, is like Alfred Hitchcock now, poking his head around from here. It's great.
I noticed that there are two slightly different versions here as I sit down.
Yes, very subtle. It's the priority, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Tell us the
priority.
differences, because you made it. You made this.
We did make it. I mean, Paul, you're responsible for us making it.
Yes. So we try and demarcate our priority maquette. We have our. This is a regulatory sign to indicate the fact that this is actually a priority seat for people who maybe need it more than others. but it's generally set by what we call the vestibule area, which is the door area. So generally that seat there and that seat there is priority, and that seat there and and so on through the train. So there's 3 doors per carriage side, so we generally have you generally have between 5 and 6 priority seats each side, so anywhere between 8 and 10.
Brilliant stuff. And in terms of the design, the colours are slightly different. Now bear in mind, I've said this before, I am very slightly colourblind, but I can tell the difference between those. When it comes to the design of it, what happens?
Well, what happened is we took out the grey areas in the standard design and put in the priority blue. So we've done that on a few of the designs we've created for TfL, and just done a slightly different colourway that's got a bold colour that really stands out, so that you can just spot it at a glance in a way.
Brilliant. Now, this is the first time we've been on a train like this. Look, we've just left Paddington. Isn't it cool? And quiet as well. We're just going to keep an eye on timings as we go.
Yeah.
So imagine, if you think of London from above, imagine the EastEnders opening credits. We're going from Paddington, we're going to zip through Bond Street shortly. We'll get an idea of how quick that journey is. Trust me, this is so much quicker than anything we've ever known before. It's wonderful. In terms of the design of the trains as well, Harriet, this is the first time we've actually had a chance to chat to you.
Yes.
What do you make of it? Because
well, I mean, it's amazing also the fact that it's constant. I don't think I've been on very many trains, but I don't live in London anymore, that actually there's no partitions between the trains. I mean,
it's fabulous. So
fabulous.
I ride the trains running out of Liverpool Street quite often, and it's great. You jump on at the back of the train, and then you can just walk your way through as the train's going to get to your appropriate carriage to get off.
It's great, and it's also much safer if you're travelling alone at night, because you know that you're not compartmentalised.
Yeah.
You actually know that wherever you are in the train, there's someone really close by and close to hand.
Yeah.
You know, so for a lot of reasons, this is good. Would you agree, Paul?
Oh, completely. I mean, that was part of the reason why we went for a continuous walkway throughout the train. So these trains are 9 cars. That configuration is about 205 metres from one end to the other, and the platform is about 240 metres. So it's a quarter of a kilometre a train.
It takes about 3 minutes to walk from end to end if you're strolling.
Yeah.
And it's lovely when you get on and there's no one there and you're just walking up, and every now and then it's like I'll just film my walk up with all the purple seats coming towards me.
It's a very go on, I was just going to say it's a very photogenic line. You know,
I mean, that looks like an infinite mirror. I mean, that is like one of those infinity mirrors, doesn't it? I mean, it's straight down. The train is absolutely dead straight.
It is.
Can I just say, by the way, are you getting slightly excited about it? You're slightly cooey about this. Bond Street. There we go, that's 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
From
2 minutes. No
Paddington
way.
to Bond Street.
You know, all stations, it's a rule of thumb, if you want to work out how long it takes you to travel from one to the next, it's about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
About 2 minutes.
About 2 minutes.
But then, how long is it that the doors are open in a
Let's see.
station?
It won't happen here because work's still
Yeah.
going on at Bond Street. When we get down to the next one, Tottenham Court Road, you'll be able to see how long the pause
So
is.
is the next one from Bond Street, Tottenham Court Road?
Is that right? Yes.
It's
That's
gonna
right.
be fab.
She was testing me there. I was thinking, I'm sure I know this.
Come on, Alex, you know
Gotta double
everything.
check. Oh, you
Come
were
on,
going for
come
it. Go on, Alex, style it out.
Yes,
But there you go, there's Bond
fine.
Street.
Yeah.
Zipping
Below
through.
or above a lot of the tube lines.
Usually below.
Usually below.
Tottenham Court Road, not quite.
It's a most amazing sort of weave there.
So does it actually go up and down slightly?
It does slightly.
Yeah.
So
It just
what it
feels
does,
there,
it stores the
Oh
energy
yeah,
as
you
you
can
come
see.
in.
You can see it.
And then
don't
as
you?
you leave the platform, there's a slight decline as it basically aids acceleration.
And that goes back to the earliest
Central
tube.
line and so on.
They were built like that,
Yeah.
partly because the locos of the time couldn't pull the trains very well, and so it helped to get them away quickly and to help with the acceleration to have that drop away, and again helps the braking when you come back in.
I love
Also
the
has to
fact
be
we've
really
got you
efficient.
two here. Two favourite train nerds.
Yeah,
It's like, it's wonderful.
It's called us nerds.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll happily tell you that. That's fine.
Nerds.
Yes,
There's one thing which I
She's
want
right
to-
though, she's right. Now the next one coming in, we're coming into Tottenham Court Road. What I'd love you, lovely humans to do is put your heads out of the window and just
And
tell
don't
us
get
what
back
you
on.
think. Yes.
That's after calling
Sling
you
your
nerds.
But have a look at Tottenham Court Road because
Yep.
when you start seeing how different the architecture is of the
That.
stations,
Oh.
I mean,
So that end is kind of dark and noir, and that end is much brighter. It has white and red at that end.
dark and noir, white and blanc.
So they're all going to have these, entrances. You can't just get on it at any point. You know,
That's
you
right.
haven't got
They're going to
any
have like
platform.
Jubilee line.
What do you think? Put your heads
Don't
out.
get left behind.
Look at that.
What do you think?
Amazing. Well, it looks incredible because it's empty.
Well,
Yeah.
That thing.
The good news is, if you like that, then you can do a virtual tour of it before it opens. So we're now running Hidden London virtual tours of Tottenham Court Road and Liverpool Street.
Really?
Yeah.
Have a guess how long the gaps are, by the way. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
It's a bit like that scene on the Carry-Ons where they say, how much is that? It's £1.
Yeah.
It's £1. It's £1.
Yeah.
Everything's 2 minutes.
But what is it with the lighting? Because isn't it different coloured
It
lighting?
is. So can you
on
see that's cool? Because
Blue,
that's a
yeah.
passageway. We don't want you to dwell there. But on the platform, you see that lighting panel is warm white.
Oh.
So
That's
linger
a dwell
longer in a
space.
warm place,
Linger longer.
sling your hook in a cool white light place.
It's
But
amazing. Nobody's here.
No.
we've got a line to ourselves. We borrowed the Elizabeth line for the day.
We
That's
feel
right.
very, very honoured.
While we're here though, because you are a man who loves your detail, and Paul knows the detail of the trains, even the armrests.
So I wanted
Have a
to
little
ask you a
chat.
question with all of you here, because many years ago we did a big project at the museum on maquette. One of my colleagues ran a day conference, and I remember you speaking there about the process of designing maquette. And it's not just a question of creating any old colour that you like and putting it on. There are rules, aren't there? And one of them is about the contrast between the colours and the brightness of the maquette and the other fixtures and fittings in the carriage. And I wonder, once the announcement's finished, whether you could just explain a little bit about how that works while we're in situ. We've got all the other materials like flooring and poles. So, who wants to take that one?
Shall I start?
Yes, and I can go into LRV. I can do my nerd
Okay.
bit.
Emma could do her LRV.
Basically, the compliance is really about the grab pole, because basically that's the key element in a moving vehicle, is the ability to see and recognise the grab pole. So generally, the grab pole has to contrast with the moquette, so that's the priority as well as the standard, and it needs to contrast with elements of the flooring as well. So those are the key elements. You've always got to create the right contrast, and we measure contrast by light reflective value.
LRV, as you were
LRV.
saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
light reflective value, which is basically what it is. You fire light at something and something comes back. So a theoretical 0 is 100% black,
Right.
and a theoretical white is 100%.
Okay.
So you basically.
So in other words,
0 to
the
100%.
LRV of that is going to be higher
No,
than the
it's-
LRV of that.
It's the amalgam of the whole seat. So all the
But
colours have to be taken
individually,
together.
yes, individually, the white is going to be higher than the blue.
Yeah.
And so when we did the original sort of idea for this, we had to add up all the LRVs to the colours and how much colour there was in there, and it had to hit a number, and we kept on not quite getting there, so it's a case of you have to get more weighted.
So you have to be mathematicians to be designers as well.
I love a
Oh, yes, you do.
spreadsheet. I had this
Do
really
you?
complicated spreadsheet. I was in my
And
element,
you wear
wasn't I?
scarves. That's an interesting combination.
But the interesting thing about
Here's
this
Barrington.
project,
Oh,
I feel it's very French. It feels very sort of French.
Oh, sacre bleu.
Like Gaudium, not Gaudium, it's a bit like sort of Charles de Gaulle. I don't know
no,
why.
it's like the RAR, the
Yeah.
Just clean.
Clean.
That's nice.
This is
garde
de dos.
I do agree with you about the RER, because we've had lots of conversations with our fans on the show about what the equivalent line would be elsewhere. I think it's a clean, fresh RER.
That's a very
Yes, yeah. And when we go to Paris, we do a trade show out near the airport. So every day we take the RAR up, and it's just that sort of smart, fast, running straight through the centre kind of thing.
If you're wondering what we're all doing here, this is a Hidden London Hangout with a difference. So we are about to enjoy the opening of the Elizabeth line, and we brought along some chums to enjoy the line, not least of all because they had such an important hand in creating the look of these trains. Emma and Harriet from Wallace Sewell designed this moquette, but also because it's really quite nice to share what we're enjoying with you as well, and we get to meet the amazing human who does all the detail. You were mentioning earlier about these things.
Yes, the armrest.
The armrest, that's right. Tell us about the design of these and the grabs, because even the detail of the grabs is beautiful, isn't it? There's a little roundel on the little droppers. Can you see that? It's just the detail on these is phenomenal. There is clearly very, very fine design in everything about these trains, isn't there? Even the
I think that was the
armrests.
exciting thing about the brief, is that we were presented with a brief about 12 years ago about creating best in class, a world quality sort of train and stations that would meet 21st century expectations and need.
Yeah.
And really, it was a blank piece of paper, so we were able to go through everything from what we call the strap hangers to the armrests and so on as well. The detail about the armrests as well is that we took some detailing from an earlier London Underground train, and the idea why it's stepped is that I can put my elbow here, and then you can put your elbow
the old
there,
Vic line,
and you
isn't
don't get
it?
elbow clash.
Is it Vic Line, the 67s, the 1967 stock? So,
Come on, Harriet.
on the hello, here she is again. They are getting used to this now, aren't they?
Again, Liverpool Street available as a virtual tour through Hidden London.
And you see these panels, these dotty panels above you.
Yes.
Each one of them is intricately designed and only fits that point on the line. Everyone is bespoke, and they are basically, you're right, if I've listened to you correctly, they're done effectively in a tray, and as they're about to set, the tray is bent to make this kind of moulded corner. Is that right?
Flexible mould, which,
So what are they made from?
so they're made from glass reinforced concrete, and I believe TfL jointly holds the patent now for that method of producing
Wow, so that's
3D
a bit of
concrete
identification,
panels.
numbering and sorting. It's like, it's like, oh my
It's
God,
computer-aided design, isn't it? It's data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done that 100 years ago. And that's the great thing, is that this reflects 21st century technology.
yeah.
The remarkable thing about this is just how closely the finished product matches the computer-generated images, and you really have to take a moment to see whether you're looking at the real thing or the model when you look at a photograph.
And that's also trains. I mean, once upon a time when they built trains, there were tolerances of inches from one end to the other of the carriage, whereas this, it's like aircraft technology.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Couple of minutes, by the way, between
Yeah,
stations.
couple of
Just
minutes.
couple of minutes. And
Harriet, I think you were going to tell us a little bit more about the fabrics.
So yes,
the
so what I
molded
was going to
fabric.
say was, an interesting thing is this project was the first project where we really did get to sort of think about percentages of light, whereas all other projects we've been quite not indulgent, but we've been given the colours and we've been able to do what we wanted, haven't we, Paul? So this was the first one where we really had to fit into a given percentage. Yes.
Yeah.
Which we are wanting for.
But what you've created, I mean, the other thing about this, I don't know whether you've ever thought about this, but a lot of the fabrics and things like that, they have to be future-proof. Not only they have to be robust, but they also have to be design future-proof.
Yes.
And I can't imagine this design looking old for a very long time, because the colours will wear probably equally, unlike some, and the feel of it, as I say, I've had cushions made out of the same stuff that they've made these out of,
indeed.
and
Face
it
masks.
really lasts. It's robust,
Yes.
so it's got a future-proofing.
Well, part of the sort of construction of maquette is the fact it's got multiple yarns running across the back. So all the colours you see on the surface in the pile, when they're not on the top, are running across the back, and that actually makes the fabric stronger, doesn't it? Because I remember having a chat with you, and you were saying that actually the construction of the fabric and the fact it's got all this extra yarn tucked in the back
That's right.
makes the seats stronger. And
It does.
wasn't
And
it
has
that
a
at one
backing.
yeah, wasn't it at one point you tried using a different spec and the seats all started to give a bit
Yes.
years ago?
At Whitechapel, take a look as you go past at the artwork on the platforms. It's really cool. And the thing that really I love about these stations that we've spotted as we've started doing these journeys is that there is something very comforting about the oval or spherical shape of these tunnels and passageways. There's something very comforting about the environment. And as I say, to think that only a few minutes ago we were in Paddington, we're now in Whitechapel, we've literally gone east to west in zone 1
And
stroke
how long
2.
is it so far?
Well, it's 11:41 now. We've been on this train probably about 15 minutes, and we've gone from Paddington to Whitechapel. You're now beginning to see that it's really interesting, because one of the comments that's been made to a lot of people is, well, you know, we come on these trains and we talk about how fantastic they are, but what about the delays and the cost and everything else? But the truth of it is, civil engineering projects tend to overrun. You know, it's just the way it is. We've had COVID, but more importantly, and personally, the reason why I'm so impressed with this project is the difference it's going to make in London. North to south, eventually we might get another sort of cross-rail project, Elizabeth Line style thing. But at the moment, east to west, for me personally, is going to change my whole travelling experience in London. It will make it so much faster. Coming to see Nixie, if he invites me up to his allotment for a drink, suddenly I've shaved 45 minutes off the journey.
And
by
that's
using
obviously
this
why the line was installed, specifically so Alex and I can
for me
socialise.
and my drinking endeavours. It's great. It's plentiful, sort of excitement and joy. Chris.
Just one of the things you were talking about on the maquette about that robustness. I wonder if we have a look at these ones perhaps, because the jump seats are the ones that are probably going to get most kind of handling. And I know one of the other things about maquette that helps it to last is the mixture of the loop and the cut.
Yes.
So could you explain, we've got loops there and we've got cut pile there.
Yeah.
How do the loops help with the robustness?
The loops are primarily about breaking up the surface of the fabric. Otherwise, you just generally have a flat, a flat surface. So you use a tight repeat pattern to break up the design, wears better, resists graffiti better because you don't have large spaces, light spaces to draw on. But this breaks up the surface, the texture.
Also, the loops, because they are actually a thread under tension in a loop, are firmer, so they're not going to squash as quickly as an actual pile. But it's so fascinating if you see it being woven in that you have this loop and it has wires, and where you're going to get the cut pile, you have a little blade on the end of it, and as the wire's pulled out by the machine, it cuts the pile, and then where you have the non-cut, it's not got the blade, so it just leaves the loop. And you can't have them closer together than so many picks, so many
incredibly
tufts.
Yeah, because if there's too many loops, the whole thing becomes really stiff.
Yes.
And that sort of nose on the seat there to make sure the pattern doesn't break up as it's too tightly curved around. It's great stuff.
Gorgeous. Here's Canary Wharf. As I say, the speed at which we're going through London is remarkable. So here we are on the platforms at Canary Wharf. As Chris said, this is a really interesting pontoon station, really. Kind of floats in a dock.
Well, yeah, it's kind of, if it weren't anchored in the ground, it would be trying to float. But you can always tell when you're at Canary Wharf because you've got the yellow panels.
The canary. Yes, the canary.
What do you think so far? I mean,
it's spectacular.
Spectacular. It really is. I mean, you hardly even know you're on a train. It's amazing. But
so
going back
smooth.
to what we were talking about, on the design. Sorry, am I allowed to do that?
Yes.
Design. So talking about the interesting thing, which was really fascinating for Emma and I, is that talking about how this is woven is a different type of weaving to what we usually do. So it's very much, it's tufts of colour. It's not colour mixing. It's not colour crossing. So therefore, every single little pixel or tuft of colour
It's like a pixel.
It's like a pixel. So it's like, that whole sort of surreal,
Kind of pointillism.
Pointillism. That's a lot of what we're doing.
it's just pointillism. Aren't you clever?
But it's the kind of scale as well, because if you go too small, it goes pixelated. Go too big, and you have large patches of white that people can
like fuzzy
names
felt
on.
almost,
Exactly, so it's finding the scale that works in the interior and the context of the train.
I think that you must have had that issue with Barman. In fact, I think we talked about that before, about finding the appropriate scale to do Barman, so
with
they
Barman.
didn't
So
pixelate.
if it was too small, it just became a bit sort of like clunky in the circular elements.
Yes.
But what you were saying, Harry, about the mixing of the colour and the pixels, it is so interesting how you get a
We're
Just
enjoying
imagine.
a rare moment here where Alex has become the props department instead
Imagine
of me.
a whole train, but it wouldn't look the same, would it? I love this, but it wouldn't look the same. There's something about that design that's
And it's so
beautiful.
interesting. So, when we created Barman and then it, won and became the one
No,
and
I
became
remember,
the
I remember.
the maquette for London. We loved it. I loved it. It was so sort of satisfying. We were so proud of it.
Everybody loves it, and not only that. Look, I'm wearing the socks today.
Yeah.
This is your Bakerloo line
The
Barman.
Bakerloo colour.
It's everywhere.
Purple in
I have an honour
Fabulous.
today.
Barman was this international competition that London Underground set. We sent out the brief, and there was about 400 people sent in designs, and we went through them all, and we saw Barman and we looked at one another and went, that's it.
That's it.
That's got to feel pretty good to have won out over 400 entries.
So nearly did. We're
Nearly didn't put it in because...
What? It's fundamentally, the design is different from a rectilinear type repeat.
So everything else we've done has all been about rectangles.
It's abstract.
All
What
like
you
this
create is always
yeah.
abstract.
Yeah.
So to put something figurative or representatively within the design is like, ooh, we haven't done that before. But everybody went, including Richard Parry, who was the MD of London Underground, I presented it, he went, that one. Everybody went, that one.
I think if you go back through our collection of maquettes at the museum, you go through periods where you do have those very rectilinear designs, and then others which are much more freeform, blues, jazz kind of vibe to them. But what's lovely about this is it's got the identity woven into it. We don't have that many. We've got Bullseye, the roundel design one, of course. But it's less usual to have that kind of stuff worked in. I
think maquette music exactly the same because they have rhythm and they have melody. Yes. And I think that's what that does.
Absolutely.
Just to say, by the way, Custom House this is. We've been on this train 20 minutes and we're at Custom House. We've only took one stop from Woolwich to give you an idea of how fast this is. Very quickly, while we're talking about maquette, have a quick look out the door, by the way. Tell me what you think of this place.
Ooh, nice day.
Works so well.
It's absolutely gorgeous.
We are such tourists.
Climb aboard, my beauties. I just, honestly, count my lucky stars. This is a gig, honestly. While we're talking about maquette, just remind us of the different landmarks that are in.
Yes, you do. Yes, you can.
Yeah, do it.
Yes. So you have the London Eye, which is not the roundel, because one was not allowed to put the roundel in.
No, we don't do the roundel.
You can do London Eye. And then you've got St Paul's. So it shares the top of the spire with the London Eye's upright. Then you have the Elizabeth Tower,
that's right.
Big Ben, which is here. You can see the top. And then the one that's really hard to find is, I have to find it, get it, is London Bridge. Tower Bridge, which is in the repeat. So the repeat's quite tiny, and it's the fact you've got this sort of lurking behind St Paul's.
Well, I love the fact that I remember doing a talk and all these school kids come along and they use this for their school projects. You know, it's actually become quite a sort of iconic project for London.
Sad folk use them as laptop cases that they have made. You know, I mean, people are very, very strange. But you know, the thing I adore about all of this, and it's what we love about the Hangouts as well, is that this is a place where people come to enjoy the joy of travelling, and it gives us. Would you not agree? One of the things we've tried to do is to stop people using their mobile phones on trains and look up and enjoy what you see. If it's the fabric, if it's the design, it's the little roundels on the grab rails, it's the stations, it's everything, isn't it?
I think the thing is, so much thought and effort has gone into creating spaces which have got these little pieces of joy and aren't just functional. It is a great shame just to see people there, ignoring it. So look up, look around, and enjoy what's being created to make this more than just a mundane, fast journey.
That's down to Paul and your department. The fact
and I think
that attention to detail.
I think it's about orchestration as well, isn't it? You know, I'm not a soloist. Like a maquette designer, I'm actually a conductor. So what I do is I try and bring these things together to harmonise and work together and to coexist and present a brand, a new brand like Elizabeth.
Hold your nose, everybody. Just very quickly, hold your nose. We're just going under the river.
Oh, yes.
All right. Literally go, no, I don't want you to drown.
Cannot tell.
Is it smelly? I love that. No,
I wouldn't swim in it. Put it that way.
So we're now going under the Thames. You've just gone past London City Airport as well. Right. So Paddington to City Airport, about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool, isn't it?
Very cool.
So before we come to get off the train, Paul, can I ask you for any other kind of accessibility features that we can see around us on these new trains?
There's 4 wheelchair bays per train. Again, we have contrasting flooring.
Yep.
Again, we designed the flooring, so we designed the colour, the fleck, the contrasting, the way it sits around the doors, the seating, the armrest, grab hold, the whole element, even the air conditioning units here, and the customer information as well. So all those things. Again, we created a black box around that to contrast, to frame the customer information, which is live.
So you've got both the audio and the visuals.
Exactly, but it's a great contrast, so it's more visible for everybody as well.
I love, can I just say, I love Scott so much. Scott, our man who can, has got every bag we've got.
I love that we
swear.
I love that we
I just-
decided to he'd
There
do
are
that
some
to keep
people-
it slick and clean.
There are
and we're
some
drawing
people,
attention
I
to
know,
it.
but there are some people in this world who are good, deserve to be thanked, you know.
And look at this. I know,
I love
tiles.
him so
It's-
much. I love him so much. Do you know, look, just, this is the one, this is where I am, this is my home. This station is, I'm actually lost for words.
So when we got off here on the test event, we immediately just went, oh, bronze, oh, tiles, because
Who did all that? Who did the tiles? They're beautiful.
my mate Dave did it actually.
this is a technique that was used on Jubilee Line on their pillars, where at the height at which you can touch them, you have more robust materials, so that you keep the concrete clean above. It's just, this has been done in such a beautiful style with the bronze work and the tiling. So as well as looking pretty, it's serving the purpose of being a contrast strip, so that if you're walking up, it isn't just this sort of dark bronze surface. You've got some brighter colours sticking out at eye level.
I can imagine in years to come, the Hidden London Hangouts series number 96, episode 6. Us not with wet wipes, we're coming with Brasso and start cleaning the colours off. You know, it's
It's
going
only
to
a matter of time before you're walking around with a whole household cabinet.
Totally. As always, thank you very much to the Elizabeth line. Thank you guys for just joining us and enjoying the line with us really before it opens, because we are lucky people. We've got the designer, we've got the maquette people, we've got the lot here.
Should we
Yeah.
end with a C?
I think we should, because suddenly I'm home, I'm home. This is pretty cool.
Grab a seat.
Have a seat.
Paul,
It's,
come and take a weight off.
closing thoughts on the line. What do you think?
Amazing, fantastic. And actually, you know, almost you need to ride it a few times to take it all in, because it's actually every single element is beautiful.
Yeah.
And you probably need a little bit more time to take it
And
in.
it's you know, such a smooth journey. It's so clean and smart. It's just like the future.
It is.
definitely.
And if there was one thing that's not on the trains that you would like to put on the trains, what would it be?
People.
I love you for saying that. I love you, because that's what I would have said.
It's here to be used. Can't wait for it to open.
It's stupendous.
Well, I think this changes what we think about London's transport system, doesn't it? It is something new and different, and I think it will change the way we think about the shape of London too.
Now, because we're doing buy one get 3 free today, do you fancy a quick have a look round?
I think we
Woolwich?
should. It's one we haven't done, isn't
Exactly.
it? So
Should we do it?
let's go and have a look.
Marvellous. Let's do this. This one means something to me,
Yeah.
because this is my home, and to get a station like this actually gives me shivers, because we've never had anything far. Woolwich was always one of those areas of London that only relied for so long on National Rail or British Rail at the time, and it felt such a long way from anywhere. And when the DLR arrived some years ago, it felt like, oh, someone's remembered Woolwich. Now we've got this, we're on another level now. We're absolutely on another level.
It is, and I mean, so fabulously well connected now. How quickly can you get to pretty well any other line from here? Now?
Well,
it's great.
25 minutes from Paddington. I mean, it's just amazing.
So let's just have a look. Normally, we've been arriving at the top and coming down and have a
Yeah.
look at the station and then going out again. Here, we're doing it the other way around because
Yeah.
we've come by train. So we're obviously in a station box, so this isn't a mine station. We're just below the surface, really. And we can see some of the things that we're already familiar with. So platform, warm lighting up on these, what do you call them?
Well,
Like a-
they're like lily pads, aren't they,
Yeah.
really? They're
Yeah,
incredible.
which no doubt acoustic as well, because they've got holes in them. Over on the sides, you've got these dark ventilation grills. You've got the platform edge doors, as we've seen at all of the other stations, full height platform edge doors. The glass panel, we now know what those are for, don't we?
Yeah, we do. It's gorgeous.
So that's for, in the event of fire, it helps with smoke handling and keeping separations of airflow. And this fabulous, dramatic triple escalator going up into the box.
Do you know what? It is such a I'm not a great photographer, but it's such. These are photogenic stations. Let's go and have a look.
I imagine that as soon as we get a couple of steps forward, we're going to see some spreader beams holding the walls out. Oh, there we go.
And of course, right above us
Yep.
are loads of houses, loads of
Yep.
flats and shops, and this whole area, the arsenal side, obviously big in the war, World War II, is now a really, really zhuzhy place to live.
Do you know what this is reminding me of? This beautifully laid brick, which I think is Garden Bond. Somebody will tell me if I'm right or wrong. And it reminds me a little bit of West Ham on the Jubilee Line extension, which is a much brighter red brick, but done in brick. And then this grey perforated ceiling panel. It's so calm, isn't it? It's quiet.
It is calm, but I'm not calm. I'm loving this.
So
This
simple
is gonna be my
box,
new way home.
concrete spreader beams to hold out the sides, and then you're bathed in light with this kind of wave-like ceiling.
It's glorious. That is the classy place to live out there. It's lovely. Most amazing pub nearby, actually.
Doing wonders for
I'll be
your
doing that.
property value, hey?
Thank you. Well,
So no doubt you've been walking past these gates wishing you could get in for a little while.
looking into the peering in, and now I can be peering out. It's just great. So the booking hall, it's set, you've got your gate line, beautiful sort of manicured gardens really outside the station.
Go and have a little peeky.
Yeah, can you flash me out? Because
let's
the last
just
time I
try.
got a
Let's
penalty
see if-
fare when
see
we
if
did this.
my staff pass will do it.
The line's not even open, and I got
Yes!
quick.
Come on, you go through.
Go. Do it.
There we go.
I love that. I love the fact that Chris on camera is just so sort of, done this a million times before.
Oh,
So
look at this. What great detail. Even the carpet runner has got it in. I love it. Absolutely.
are you going to get
love
like a
it.
proper? Oh, look at that. I mean, it's a nice. It's a tufted shag, you know.
Is it tufted
Yeah.
Wilton?
Yeah.
There's a excellent Victoria Wood song about that, isn't there?
Yeah. It's gorgeous. I'm so sorry. We are being slightly touristy.
Oh
about
no,
this,
I'm
but
just
we're loving
thinking that's my Instagram for this episode. That's right.
And you know, as I say, it's a lovely part of London that is really benefiting from the investment, but also a bit of TLC as well. So it's becoming a really lovely place to live. And as you know, you can get the boat from here as well.
What a lovely. It's all just great,
The
isn't it?
connections are really cool.
Well, I think one last tourist photo, Alex, and we should probably head
Should we go back down and have a look at the platforms?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Thank you. So Nick, so you know we love trains, we love platforms, we love all the design and all that kind of caper, but there's something about this place, as I say, because it means something to me, it's nice, but the platform length really strikes me here. I don't know what's different, but it looks epically large, this station.
It's a straight line, isn't it? It's one way you can see straight down the platform. So it is, as you say, epically large. Just coming off the train, we were about a third of the way along the train. In any normal train, it would feel like you're kind of halfway down it. But I'm intrigued to see when we've got this slight elevated view down it, whether I can actually see the end.
I mean, just look at that. It is craziness.
Monster.
Absolute craziness. But I just adore it. And again, so many lovely little details. As we were talking earlier, the tiles on the wall have got meaning.
The glass maps, which I'm slightly falling in love with these.
Yeah, they are rather lovely, aren't they? Hello, Woolwich.
Gorgeous.
It's really, really lovely.
I do love an enamel map, but
It's funny, isn't it, how, you know, when we think about the things that we love about the underground and all those little lovely design bits, over time they are changing. Enamel to glass, you know, the tiles to bronze. Lovely bit of ceramics, obviously, but it's really, really lovely. And as I say, you know, if Chris on camera can just fling round and see the sheer length of these platforms, they are incredible.
It's just really clever, clean design, isn't it? All your things like your services are just parked in the centre, so they're not in the way. Once again, we can just see when the next trains are.
Amazing.
Do you remember we saw that on the very first one we did? Was it?
The next train to Abbey
Wood
is in 3
It's quite
minutes.
handy. But otherwise, you've just got the long, clear platform that you can walk down and have lots of people on without any issues.
I don't know about you, but I, having been a journalist for so long, you do feel like a lot of your life, you're watching history happen. Do you know what I mean? It's happening right in front of you, and you're very privileged that you're in a position where you're closer to it than perhaps many members of the public. In a way, we've been so lucky to be given access to this line in the way we have done. Thank you so much for everybody who made it possible for us. Because what we've seen is the evolution of a truly beautiful thing. I knew we were going to do that.
I think that's probably all we need to do, isn't it?
Exactly.
And now it's over to you. It's your line, ready to use, and go and enjoy it. Go and see all of those sites that we've picked out during this series of looking around the stations before they open. Hope you enjoy it.
So a train journey and then a look around Woolwich. Let's start with you, Laura. Woolwich Station obviously has got some sort of meaning to me because it's my local, but what did you make of it from the film?
I mean, firstly, what a lovely, very trendy, very well-dressed bunch you had with you. And what a lovely, I felt like they exuded like a sense of calm energy with, you know, combined with all that amazing knowledge and experience of the weaving and the colours and the design and how it all kind of came to be. So that was a really nice clip. Thank you for organising all of that. I mean, Woolwich, Alex, seriously, when are you going to invite us over so that we can actually go to the station? Well, soon, after the 24th of May, we can come to the station and visit you. I feel like an invite is impending, hopefully. Impending? Pending.
I'd say it within a week. Let's do it in a week, but let's take the
there we
purple
go.
line.
Let's do it. It's a beautiful station, and I think that the whole of the Elizabeth line, anything that reduces people's time that they have to travel from A to B, increases space in which they can travel from A to B, and improves accessibility so that more people can use this, you know, amazing new line, is just, you know, such a great thing for Londoners to have. And yeah, beautiful station. I think one of the designers, maybe Harriet, said it reminds her of the Parisian network, and I quite like that. I think that I definitely, that resonates with me. I see where she's going with that. I can't wait to jump on it and be there when it's running and it's open, because we've seen it in its new form, which gives you a lovely sense of space and gives you a lovely sense of the design. But really, the real test is when lots of people are using it, and it's kind of, you know, bubbling with that energy of all the kind of commuters and people using it day to day. So that's the bit I'm really looking forward to.
Fabulous. And Sid, your thoughts on that new station? I mean, it's even the little designs like the colours on the tiles, as Chris hinted earlier. Yep. It's so thoughtful, but it's also quite a tangible station. You know, when you feel the brick, it's got a touch to it. It's
well, I was going to say, you know how we've talked about in all the sites we've visited that each station has a nod to the area and its history and its relevance. You know, we talked about with Liverpool Street Moorgate, it's the city. It's got that kind of striped ceiling, the ribbed ceiling, as you may recall, and it's got that sense of being in the heart of a commercial London. And then Tottenham Court Road, you had the nightlife versus the theatre district. Paddington, you had a nod to the Great Western Railway and the intricacies of the Victorian station there. Woolwich Arsenal, lots of gunmetal and white and black and reference to the Arsenal there and to the Royal Navy, and that I really felt that, especially in that brick that you said, really felt like gunmetal to me or something like that, which is so clever, but also very bright and kind of very inviting. And I love that little mat in the front that you showed, because I don't think I've seen that in any other station. So very inviting.
I have to say, I quite like the idea of one of those mats at my front.
Oh, I knew it.
I was about to say, it's got product written all over it, hasn't it?
It does. It's absolutely brilliant. I absolutely adore it. But yeah, what a wonderful day, wasn't it, Nixie? I mean, in many ways, there's something, it's so funny how you picked up on that, Laura. There's something wonderful about getting three designers together, because they're so thoughtful, the depth of their thinking and the stuff they even look at and observe and create is so different to how my brain works. It was revelatory to me.
It was a real treat for me, because normally I sit on trains and I do notice this kind of stuff, and I'm sitting there going, oh, I wonder if they did that because of that. So just to be able to go, did you do that because of that? And I go, yeah, no, or we did it because of this. It's just, it's great for me to be able to have those bits of curiosity satisfied immediately.
We get the opportunity to talk to the very top brass on the Hidden London Hangouts. And today they come no finer. Mark Wilde is the Chief Executive of the Elizabeth line. Now, I have to say, Mark, you are in charge of getting this line open, but Zoom seems to be challenging you today. What have you propped your phone up against?
Well, it's on my my iPad stand, but if it's a bit shaky, it's because I'm holding it in position. So well, apologies for that.
We're loving your colour scheme, by the way. And I have to say, the line that you are creating is absolutely stunning. Are you proud of it?
Yeah, I am. I was asked that question this morning. We had some international journalists this morning, all over the world, Poland, America, Spain, Italy, France, Japan. And I got asked that question. And I'll tell you what I'm most proud about. I'm most proud about the 75,000 people that built it. You know, I'm kind of one person, happened to be lucky to be like towards the end of it or at the end of it. But it's been an epic endeavor. So I'm proud of my team. Yeah. And it's, I mean, you all know it, don't you? You've experienced it. It's a huge engineering achievement, you know, and it's kind of got a resonance with building the first tubes, hasn't it? You know, it's kind of got that ambition and scale. So yeah, I'm proud, but I'm mostly proud about the people. Yeah.
What's the one thing that you absolutely adore about it? If there was one thing, like the top bullet point on your LinkedIn, what will it be? The best thing about the line?
Well, I'm an engineer, so you know, I just love how we've brought something so ambitious to life. I mean, it isn't actually possible to build this, really. You know, if you stand back from it, it's not actually on paper. It shouldn't be possible to build. So, you know, the things I love about it are under the skin, the things that you lot love as well. But, you know, but the visible things, customers see. I mean, I like the grandeur of it. It's, you know, it's got a sense of scale that I think will stand the test of time. You know, taking these journalists around today, it's got the wow factor. You know, even Japanese and French and Spanish and Italian journalists that have metros like this or similar, it's extraordinary. So I'm proud of like the outcome, but I guess as an engineer, I'm really pleased about the what we've done technically as well.
It's beautiful. And, you know, let's face it, there will always be journalists who say it's taken too long, it's cost too much. In terms of the difference it's going to make to London by opening this, it's pretty seismic, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is. We shouldn't deny, though, that in 2018, we thought we had 9 months to open, and it turned out to be 3 years. And, you know, we've eaten our way in that time through £3 billion of public money. So, yeah, I agree. In the long run, this all makes a lot of sense. But, you know, I think that there's a real lesson about why we got into such difficulty in 2018 and how we kind of got out of it. Certainly for Crossrail 2, I would think that will be quite a profound thing. But yeah, in the long run, yeah, you know, we've shredded journey times. We've brought 1.5 million people within the central activity zone of London for employment, 1.5 new people. We've kind of created the opportunity of £42 billion of agglomerated benefit. And as you lot know, you know, these are really economic and social schemes, aren't they? Railways are kind of pretty much the last civic service, really. And I think we've created a great civic outcome. You know, it's completely equitable. You know, it's completely accessible. It'll be the same cost whether you're a rich person or a poor person. And I think there's something quite special in that, you know. And I think, talking to Andy Byford about this, it could well be like an incubator, a catalyst for post-pandemic recovery. Certainly hope so.
Well, you and your 75,000 people have basically shrunk London.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, isn't it? I mean, I read in a good article, I think by Julian Glover or somebody, who said that, you know, at the minute, London takes 20 or 30 minutes to go anywhere in London, doesn't it? We're all kind of Londoners. And you kind of factor in this additional journey overhead. And now, of course, we've kind of shredded that. We've shrunk London. Yeah. And, you know, to be on the train today with, you've been on the trains, you know, 60-mile-an-hour train, pulling out the stations with just this massive velocity, you realize that we've done an incredible job of connectivity. I'm really pleased with the accessibility outcome as well. It's not perfect, you know, on the surface stations, we've ended up with not having level platforms because of the freights and, you know, the national rail rules. But it's interesting to think that in the original bill, it wasn't going to be an accessible railway. And it was only through the efforts of Alan Benson and Transport for All that one of the key things about it is it became step-free. And I think I might have said it before, the most emotional bit of getting this job was being at Abbey Wood, meeting a mother and her young son who was in a wheelchair, who just couldn't get a job, couldn't get a job. And from that moment on, I realized we were doing something beyond engineering. We were doing something for the city, for the southeast of England, and ultimately for the country as well, I think.
Well, it's absolutely wonderful. We were saying earlier in the episode that I timed my journey from where I live in Woolwich to Paddington by current means, and it was 55 minutes. And we travelled back on your beautiful new line, and it took me 25. So that gives me half an hour of my day back. What I'd love to do in the next few weeks is spend 30 minutes with you at Bond Street, looking around the work that's going on there, because that will be the sort of the incredible missing piece of all of this. And that in itself has been quite a challenge, hasn't it, building Bond Street?
Well, Bond Street, you all know the history. For those that don't, it was 18 months behind. The civil engineering here and the kind of tunnelling drive and the major civils went pretty well here. And the tunnelling drive between 2012 and 2015 was expertly done. Unfortunately, at Bond Street, a geological problem at Bond Street with the river became a problem. And also the tunnelling boring machines had to be recovered from there. So Bond Street always had an 18-month delay. Then it had problems with design coordination. Team have done just a wonderful job now, and the installation and construction is finished at Bond Street. And they've now got a sprint to do the final integration testing. And the advantage is we've gathered together the A-team, all the other stations are finished, so you've got literally the top guns at Bond Street now. And they've also learned all the lessons that we learned in these previous integrations. So Bond Street's going to be open September, October. I'm pretty sure about that. And Andy Byford's very committed to that. And if we could, I was
going to say, interestingly, we've just been researching Tottenham Court Road, because we did a virtual tour of the Tottenham Court Road Elizabeth Line site. And we've also been looking into Shepherd's Bush and just that early Central Line stations, because of course they opened in 1900. Did you know that out of that original line, the only station that didn't open with the rest of it was Bond Street, because they found difficulties with installing the lifts there because of ground difficulties. So
that's amazing. I didn't know that. No. It's not the River Fleet. Somebody will remind me which river it is, but Tyburn, River Tyburn, yeah. River Tyburn runs through there. Yeah, Bond Street. I'm an electrical engineer, not a civil engineer, but I'm reliably told that Bond Street, our new Bond Street, we have piles at Bond Street that are about 6 inches above the chalk aquifer, which is deep. And if you burst through the chalk aquifer, it's kind of game over, really. You'd have a geyser. Have an Icelandic geyser city.
Oh, he's good, isn't he? He's good. I'll tell you something. If you're an electrical engineer, mister, could you do me a favour and put a new plug on my laptop? That'd be quite handy.
Oh, no, he's getting onto plugs. I was going to say the whole thing about the geology that's being tunnelled through is something that people just almost take for granted these days. But a lot of the lines which have been built in more recent times are only technically possible because of advances in tunnelling. And I know that when I was talking with some of the Crossrail 2 team when that was in the planning phase, I know that there is a major issue there somewhere around Oval. There's a major geological fault that has to be overcome in order to be able to go south at that point, deep in the ground. So it's when people are wondering why these big projects take such a long time to do, the answer is they're underground, and there's a lot of surprises.
I think you know this, don't you? Crossrail was first mooted in 1840. Liverpool-Manchester Railway opened in 1830, the world's first passenger railway. And the enterprising people of the canal companies wanted to connect the Paddington Basin to the Tilbury docks. And that involved crossing the river, and particularly crossing to the south of the river, where it's predominantly gravel rather than beautiful London clay. I remember I saw your article about the step plate junction of Kennington. And I remember us digging out the step plate junction and looking at the clay coming out. I mean, it was beautiful clay. I mean, the Cornish miners who dug out step plate junction a couple of years ago, they were digging in the most beautiful clay. But if you come southeast of there, it's not like that. It's gravel and running water. So you're exactly right. The reason Crossrail 1 didn't really get built until now, it's a bit economics, but it's a bit the tunnel boring technology. I mean, we cross the river 3 times. We go underneath the Royal Docks. It's an epic. Andy Mitchell and co did a really excellent job with the tunnelling drive. The problem is, though, I think the success of the tunnelling drive led to an inflated sense of confidence, maybe. And I think everybody would reflect that this job was always 2 things. It was an incredible civil engineering job, probably one of the greatest civil engineering attempts in this country's history, but it was also the world's greatest digital integration. And those 2 twin peaks of risk, a lot of focus went into the civils, and I think in future people will looking at them across both sides. But yeah, great job by the civil engineers.
I was going to ask you actually, Mark, because we all know that I would like to think I'm one of the massive flag wavers for this line because I love it. But if there was one thing that you could do differently if you did all this again, what would it be?
Well, I will speak as an engineer because modularity. So we've built everything here in situ in the target infrastructure, and it's immensely complex, as you know. These stations are 10 stories deep in the ground. It's 42 kilometers long. It's 20 to 30 meters deep in London. We often had 10,000 to 12,000 people down there. It's very non-productive. The thing we should have done differently is have a massive push on modularity. And the reason we started off with the concept of modularity, building things in factories, all around the UK, shipping them to site, plug and play almost, and it would have greatly solved the assurance and integration challenge. The reason we didn't do that was and this is the key lesson, Crossrail had an end date of the 9th of December 2018, decided years ago. And that fixation of a singular end date drove a lot of behaviors in the program to perpetually kind of catch up. And that meant modularity, thinking about what's called design for manufacture, finishing the design. Realistically, Crossrail needed another year in 2015. That wasn't possible because the end date of December 18 was kind of fixed. And we're all guilty of that. I was on the board. I'm sure the political layer, the project layer, everybody would accept fixation of a single end date, lost the opportunity around 2014, 2015 to take a bit more time with the design. So my thing I would do differently would be I would not force program leaders into a singular end date. That's what I think,
I really appreciate your candor, but I also appreciate your friendship to the hidden London Hangouts, because you've given us the keys to your line well before anyone else. In fact, most of your staff didn't have keys to the line, and we were allowed to preview it and hopefully tell the world how fantastic it's going to be. And you also gave Laura so many wonderful design elements to talk about. I mean, for you, Laura, it's been quite the experience, hasn't it?
Right, I think so many of our viewers are just going to absolutely love this episode. Mark, you're so eloquent, and Alex just hit the nail on the head as well, like so candid with what you're saying now, which I think is so important for people to feel quite connected and like a real personal connection with what's happened. I mean, transport is so fundamental to life, and it's fundamental to being connected and communities. And if we can use the phrase post-pandemic, I hope we can. I think what's come out of that, lots of evidence, is that people really felt disconnected and really wanted that community back. And I think that the Elizabeth line opening is just such a pivotal time as we come into this lovely wave of being slightly more in control of kind of COVID and how people's lives have been affected by it, that it's going to reconnect people. And I think you mentioned it before, Mark, about connectivity being increased. And I bang on about connectivity in these Hangouts all the time. So it's a really important part for me. And Alex, absolutely. The design aspect, I just think there are so many things you've got right on this line. I'm very excited about people being able to travel on it and see that and be part of it and live and breathe this line, because it is going to be so important for the city.
Yeah, I'm always, taking the foreign journalists around today, I'm always a little bit intimidated as a guy from a comprehensive school in Newcastle by Japanese kind of railway people, which are, I think they're gods really. And yeah, to see the Japanese people today kind of nod and acknowledge, oh, this is like a proper job. There's no higher. That made me very happy indeed, But yeah, I think we got it right. I think the architects did a wonderful job. I mean, you go to Paddington. I mean, come on. It's if it doesn't win something for the Sterling Prize, I don't know what would.
Yeah.
And I think I love the sparsity of the central areas. Do you like it? Do you all like it? I mean, some people say it's boring.
Nothing we
it's
don't
sparse.
love about it. You've changed my life by getting me into town quickly from a place which was for so long forgotten. You know, Woolwich, Abbey Wood.
Oh.
These are places a long, long way out of town. As I say, I was a geography degree graduate years ago. And ultimately, time-space compression was a big thing in the 60s with air travel. You've just done it again to London. I can't thank you enough. And
I mean, you know, you look about 75,000 people worked on this. There are some notable names, aren't there? And you think of Tony Pidgley and Barclay Holmes, who were ambitious enough to build that box at Woolwich. And it's astonishing, isn't it? I mean, I just love it. It's an exemplar at Woolwich to me, actually, to take people about when I was a kid, they called it the Sparks effect, but now it's kind of the regenerative effect of transportation. And Woolwich, I think, is just a fabulous outcome, you know. And, you know, who knows? Extension to Ebbsfleet, who knows, one day.
Well,
but,
in time, it'd be fantastic.
I think
One of the things I really hope is that with the time that people save on this new fast journey, they'll actually spend a bit of it just to walk slowly through the stations and appreciate them, because they are a fabulous place to go and visit on your way to go wherever you're going.
Don't knock it, Mark. There's a great pub just around the corner from Woolwich Station.
I knew
that's where we're spending our half hours, I can tell you.
One of the things that I think is so important about this infrastructure, though, like you said, Mark, you're bringing a huge a number of people into the fray of London, people that didn't have that connectivity before now are actually going to be able to come in. And I think that's a huge impact in terms of it releases people from the car. And that's something that's so important in London and in the world at the moment, is we want to encourage people to use public transport more because of, you know, what's going on in the world and how we need to start fighting for the environment. And so it's just, you know, one of the things that encourages people to do it is it quick, is it comfortable, and is it beautiful? And the Elizabeth line is all three.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. It's, I mean, we're public transport advocates here, aren't we? But, you know, I do find it strange. You look at some more people with novel ideas about tunnel boring and getting cars in tunnels, and you realise, you know, the Elizabeth line, every one of our trains, 1,500 people plus, and we're moving them at 60 miles an hour underneath London. And it really doesn't get any better. And also it's safe. You know, this is the other thing I really like about our railway is the airy spaciness of it, you know, and it's safe, you know, it feels a safe environment for people, and it'll encourage people back. Safe, physically safe, of course, always, but it feels COVID safe to me. By a complete twist of fate, you couldn't have a more COVID-friendly railway, could you? You know, with our beautiful air-conditioned trains, big cathedral-like stations, big circulation areas. I think we'll get a big uptake. I mean, in the East, as you know, we're already over 90% on what we call TfL rail. That'll eventually in the autumn get plumbed in. You know, already on the Shenfield Liverpool Street branch, we've got 96% return. So I think it'll be a big magnet for people to come back to work.
We have taken up far too much of your time, Mark, but thank you so much for your honesty. And first of all, you are a wonderful ambassador for the tune. So good work. And please stay being a friend of ours, because the stuff you do is so much up our audience's street. Thanks ever so much. Good luck for the launch. And we'll see you again very soon at Bond Street.
You will. See you soon. Bye-bye.
I don't know about you guys, but we've worked so hard on the Elizabeth line and getting to places and seeing places and interpreting it before everyone else is allowed to see it. It really has been an utter treat, hasn't it, Chris?
Loved it. It's been a real flashback to the start of the career and the Jubilee line extension opening and all of that. You don't get to do these things very often in a career, if at all. So it's been great. And it's been great doing it with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And Siddy, we're going to be in Bond Street very, very soon as well, having a look at how that's all going. That's going to be pretty cool, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, I can't wait. Actually, I use Bond Street quite a lot, and I really can't wait to see the addition to that beautiful station, which is already a very beautiful station, just being expanded. So really looking forward to that, and for the line to open, and for me to use it to come visit you.
Totally. And Laura, obviously, even more design delights to come at Bond Street. I do hope you're going to be coming with us.
Absolutely. And I love that we each have a little piece of the Elizabeth line, and with it Grundy as well, don't we? We have a little piece of Grundy in our cushion. We each have that in our house, and And I think that's super special. It's been a journey, and I can't wait for it to open. And I'm very excited about Bond Street.
It's fantastic. And truthfully, that journey is now yours, because we've had the fun. It's now your turn to have fun on this fantastic new line that's going to totally transform London. We've got one particular thank you, and he doesn't know we're going to do this, but Chris Bevan-Lee is the actual Elizabeth Line videographer. He's the man who comes with us on all of these trips and makes us look much, much better than we really are. And he is the kindest man. He's not just a professional, he's become our mate. So thank you, Chris, for everything you've done and everything you continue to do. And I really hope we get to work with you in the future. Thank you also to Paul from TfL, the designer, Emma and Harriet from Wallace Sewell, to Mark for just being brilliant and so generous with his time today. And to you guys, thank you, Laura, as always, for coming and playing on our line.
I know. Well, I mean, what an epic episode. I think this one is going to stay with me for a while, for sure.
Siddy, as always, my darling, the Elizabeth Line has given me half an hour back in my journey from Woolwich to Paddington. I think we need to do that in the pub, don't we?
Yeah, well, actually, technically, it's an hour, isn't it? Because half an hour back and forth. So you're gaining a lot of time.
That's at least 3 gin and tonics, isn't it? Really, that'd be marvellous. And Christopher Nix, thank you very much as always. Lovely day on the train, but also we've had a lovely series out of this.
We really have, and thanks to Peter McLennan and Vicky Morley over at Crossrail, who said yes when we first talked to them about the plan to try and get these sites covered before they were full of people.
Absolutely fantastic. So Alex Grundon, Chris Nix, Siddy Holloway, Hidden London Law at LT Museum, and follow the Elizabeth Line as well and Transport for London on Instagram. You'll find out what's going on next. A great week ahead for the line, and we're very much looking forward to continuing that journey with you. On YouTube, you found us. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe and comment down below, and we're going somewhere equally cool next week. So enjoy the Elizabeth Line. Have yourself a great day and stay safe.